Take your career to the next level. The University of South Florida, St. Petersburg is offering a master's degree in digital journalism and design. Do the entire program from home and complete it in as little as 1 year. For more information, email journalism@usf.edu or call 727-873-4544. The cost is reasonable. The experience is invaluable.
Ladies, if you're over 50, the best is yet to come. It is time to embrace life's next chapter with passion, purpose, and confidence. Let's have some fun and live our best lives by hearing inspirational stories from women who have succeeded. And let's add a spark with important information on navigating our post-50s life. This is the Fierce, Feisty, and 50-Plus podcast with your host, television personality, social influencer, and the winner of 5 national pageant titles, Sierra Patricia Scott.
Hey everyone, we have such a fun show for you today. In our Women on a Mission, we talked to a 78-year-old woman who's released a book that was 35 years in the making. And in our Wisdom Warriors, we share some really surprising advice on midlife fitness. And now it's time for our Wisdom Warriors. And this is when we talk to women who share their wisdom, their knowledge, their experience to help you live a better life. And today we have somebody that's going to do just that. Debra Atkinson is with us now, and she specializes in fitness and health and all the great things that are going to make you a much more well-rounded person and a much happier person. So Debra, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. You are so great at giving advice and knowledge. I've learned so much from you. Talk a little bit about how fitness and health is different and how it's changed for you over the years.
Such a great question. 42 years ago, I started this, sat as a student in a room on a college campus, never probably envisioning that I would aspire to work with women in menopause,
Exactly.
That's really, right. That's really not the sexy thing that you want to go for. So it's like, surely I want an athlete or I want something. But, really, I would say being 61 and not only working with women in midlife, but being in the boat rowing with them, there's never been a better time to be aging. And we don't have too many choices. Like there's that or not. But we are now speaking the word menopause out loud in mixed rooms. We can say it. We don't have to hold it back. And I think the opportunities are coming because women are not willing to settle. And we have to give a nod, I think, to all the baby boomers who decided we're not just taking this answer for this is just aging and this is just how it is, because they've really paved the way for we're now demanding there's more science featuring women and or clarify for us. Does the same thing that works for mice and men work for women? And it's okay if you tell us it did, but we want to know proof that it does. And I think right now the gap is still, there are so many women going through this, and every woman is about as unique as her thumbprint, so that even though we might be more represented with research, we still have to have this if this, then that ability to pivot, and our practitioners need to be able to pivot with us. And that's, I think, the biggest piece right now that we have to figure out is, number one, if you don't feel good, if we can treat it like data as opposed to a sentence, it's just data telling you that what you're doing right now isn't working. And there's another way. I think that's probably the most important thing. There's no longer do this as a guideline and position statement, and we should all follow that because we've forgotten to ask, how do you feel?
I think that is fantastic advice, and it's really true. What's funny is when I started to go through menopause, I didn't know who to talk to. My mom did not want to talk about it because that age group, that was verboten. You did not discuss that in public. And it's amazing the options that are out there. What do you tell somebody who is now coming into that time of their life? What do they do first?
Number one, I think is just movement. So if I see a pyramid when you ask me that question, and at the base of the pyramid, like we learned once, the food guide pyramid, and don't follow that anymore, by the way. But at the
Yeah.
bottom, meaning the things we do the most, should be movement every day. And if we can go back 100 years, even 50 years, we didn't need a gym on every corner because life was more movement. We commuted more. We actually got up to turn the channel, and heaven forbid the battery goes out in the remote control. I remember the first time that happened to my son. He was probably 3, and he was like, "Oh my God, what do we do?" I'm like, "Well, let me show you this button over here," and
That's so funny.
right, and it's cute, but then it was like, this is not really cute because we feel like everything ought to be automatic and remote control, and we're not moving. So the first thing is just reintroduce movement. I think we all have to quote unquote go for a walk. And if your ankles, knees, or hips tell you I can't walk, it's your equivalent of that. Is it getting on a bike or in a pool or an elliptical or something that's doable for you? But we have to exchange all of the, I assume you're sitting, maybe you're standing, but I'm sitting,
Mhm.
all of the sedentary time we spend during a day, we have to offset that with some movement. So we need to, go for a walk every day. If you have a dog, you have a built-in personal trainer and it's great. But if you don't, you need to pretend you do. So I
Yeah,
think first is movement. Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing because I think people are all or nothing and they think they have to spend 7 hours in the gym or none.
Mhm.
And that's not really the case. Walk around
Mhm.
the block. If that's how you have to start, that's how you have to start.
Absolutely. And, there is a lot of proof that if we're trying to control blood sugar, and for women over 40, we often are. We just punch our ticket, we're in midlife, our blood sugar goes up, period, to a sweet potato, to a banana, to stress, to an argument. It goes up relative just to our status in hormones. And we want to control that blood sugar. Going for a walk is actually more beneficial several times a day of movement like that, as opposed to one 30 or 45-minute workout. It's better to do those little pieces throughout the day. So sometimes the opposite of what we think is true would actually be the answer. So, but number 2 is, if we're climbing up that pyramid, is resistance training. We need to gain muscle and we need to gain strength and or maintain it. So never, ever, ever from this point on, no matter how old you are listening, do we want to lose lean muscle mass because it's our metabolism. It's also our strength. And the more muscle we have, the more blood sugar control again we have. So if we're fighting that battle of belly fat, whether or not you gained fat overall, as many women do, the answer is more muscle. Have a place to put blood sugar so it doesn't get relocated to the belly fat.
So if there's somebody out there, because we were talking about walking, but if there's somebody
Yeah.
out there that 60, 65, 70 have
Mhm.
never worked out,
Mhm.
is it too late or can you still make a difference?
Absolutely not too late. There's actually within the last 3 to 4 months, a study came out comparing 2 different groups of older adults, 65 to 75-year-olds, and then 85 and olders. Separated these 2 groups, and then, of course, always have a control group. But they had them do resistance training 2 to 3 times a week for 8 to 10 weeks and looked at what is the progress that each group made. So, relatively, the 85-year-olds didn't lift as heavy. However, they gained relatively more lean muscle mass. They had a higher percentage of gains. Now, you might guess probably they had been less active for the last 10 or 20 years than the younger group had. So, they had more room to grow. So, it's relative, not absolute. But we know that there is no limit on gaining strength. They not only gain strength, but they gain lean muscle mass. That was the surprise. We used to think there's a point where if you're picking up weights and you're overloading your muscle, we will still be able to gain strength no matter how old we are. We've seen it in 90-year-olds for 40 years. However, we always thought there was a line where you can't gain lean muscle mass, but that was disproven. I think what we're seeing now is we have just been believing that older adults shouldn't lift to muscle fatigue or shouldn't overload their muscles because we're getting older, we should slow down. But the truth really is, we're very capable. We actually respond very well as long as it's a wise progression. The likelihood we get hurt is very low.
And that's really interesting to me. Are you seeing more studies done on women too and working out? And is there a difference? Should we work out differently?
Right now there's a little bit of a battle, I would say, going on with influencers. I think we're wasting time and energy, honestly, with, this isn't
Mhm.
true, that there's no difference and women don't have to work out. And that's kind of one. And, on the other hand, I think someone who does the practical application. So I'm not in the lab. I'm using that science to inform how we train and how we program. But when we see women come into our programs, we see that women often are the anomaly. They're doing all the things, truly doing the things not that they learned when they were 30, but what they need to do now and still not seeing it. So we do have to have that thumbprint, the ability to say, for you, here's what I want you to try. Here's a pivot. Here's a change. But we are seeing more science based on females coming out of labs like Abby Smith Ryan out of North Carolina and Dr. Stuart Phillips, who's doing a lot of protein and longevity and muscle mass. We are starting to focus more and more on women in midlife. Perimenopause has seemingly taken the stage this year. We're hearing so much about it. I've just recently had women behind the scenes tell me, I feel like nobody's paying attention to us in postmenopause anymore. And I said, well, tell me about that. What are your questions? So we do, I think, need to address each stage uniquely because things change as the hormones change. And yes, I think women do need to exercise differently. The good news that we know is there's no discrimination. Nobody doesn't make progress. I said that, so it's very confusing, but everyone, there's no non-responders. Everyone will respond. Doesn't matter which gender, and it doesn't matter how old you are.
How about eating? Does it matter more working out, or do you have to watch your diet now more? And if you do, what do you not eat or eat? Because we talked about the food pyramid was all wrong.
Yeah, yeah. And I think right now what happens so much, and you're going to hear more about this, I think in 2026, there are books that are coming out. I know one is about to be published in April, literally Menopause Gut by Cynthia Thurlow, because hormones change and they are so closely knit with our gut microbiome also changes. Many women will start experiencing digestive issues, feeling bloated, gassy, either constipation or diarrhea, sometimes all of the above. And if that's you, I'm so sorry. But it's not something you're doing wrong. We're eating quote unquote healthy foods, but experiencing those things. Food sensitivities, they fly under the radar. They're not allergens. It's not like your tongue and your eyes are going to swell up. And so it's obvious. Sometimes the only signs are that you're weight loss resistant. You think you're doing everything right. So you have to look a little bit closer at what foods agree with you. There's a couple ways to do it. Literally, your body never lies. So you can remove and then reintroduce. You can also take a sensitivity test. And the challenge is sometimes those sensitivities don't show up until you reach this critical mass, and which means you're even more miserable. So I always recommend both. I think remove them. There's no food that you can't have. You're just going to figure out, I'm going to do it differently. It's not cream in my coffee, it's coconut cream in my coffee. So if we wanted to avoid dairy, for instance, and you're not going to cook with eggs, but there may be an egg substitute if you need to use it in a recipe. So it's learning temporarily to do that. But most importantly, we probably have to eat more protein. And I think that right now everybody is a little tired of this. I think everybody's getting a little fatigued on hearing this protein thing, this drum beating it over and over again. And yet the biggest challenge I think for women has been mentally, we've always heard you should be smaller. You should be more petite, and you have somehow elevated your status if you're wearing a 2 versus a 4 or a 4 versus a 6. And it is really hard to shake that. Even if intellectually you can sit here and say, yes, that's true. You'll go into your closet and say, I wish I could wear that. It's, and I think we just all have to point that out, and we have to support each other. Women need to help each other realize that if we stand to live longer than our men. We don't necessarily mean to outlive them, but we do. And so we need to be strong, independent, be able to do things for ourselves. We've got to really be thinking about muscle being far more beneficial and look at, are we strong? And if you can be strong and lean and smaller, fantastic. But many of us are sacrificing our strength and therefore our longevity in order to fit into the skinny jeans.
Deborah, I really appreciate you. I appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate the things that you share online. If somebody wants to find you, what's the best way to do that?
Flipping50.com. You can find me there. You can spell it out or put in the numbers, either one, or Flipping50 TV on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And I love it. Thank you for, again, sharing all your wisdom and helping women through this path, because before that hasn't been an option. So thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to talk to a woman whose book was 35 years in the making.
At Douglas Investment Group, we understand that managing wealth isn't just about numbers. It's about protecting what matters most to you. For high net worth families, we're more than advisors, we're your trusted partner. Douglas Investment Group, your financial sounding board for sound advice. Visit us today at www.douglasgroup.net or call 316-854-8495.
In our Women on a Mission segment, we cover 50 plus women who are out there doing incredible things. And our next guest is really hard to describe because she does a little of everything. She was a fashion editor for a newspaper since 1980 and still writes for a paper. She's a book author. She's written 2 books. She is an actress. She has done just about anything and was at one point in her career a gym teacher. So figure out how that all goes together. But Bonnie Bing is just an incredible person who has done so many incredible things. She's a philanthropist. She has raised multi-million dollars for charity. And at 78, she just finished her 2nd book. So Bonnie Bing, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So good to see you too. I am so excited because you have just finished writing a book, which to me is incredible because you could be off relaxing somewhere on a beach, and rightfully so, but you spent how long writing this book?
Well, actually, 37 years, because it's a compilation of a lot of my columns, nearly 100 columns. Because as a journalist, I was a columnist and feature writer and so forth. But everybody said, oh, it'll be a piece of cake, have at it. You've already written all that. Oh, my goodness. For years, I kept saying, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. And then I had a friend who said, yeah, you're doing it. And she read one column and it made her cry. And she read another one and it made her laugh and laugh. So she said, we are doing this. And so she gathered up some columns, did the proposal, did everything, and I was all ready to say, now listen, my dear, don't be upset because, we'll be turned down a number of times. She comes bouncing through our front door and says, they took it, they want your book. I thought, oh no. So then they started talking about getting it finished for this Christmas season for gifts and so forth. And I thought they were talking about next Christmas. So, boy, we did sit down and we put that devil together.
So how long did it take you once you decided, okay, I'm going to use a certain amount of articles? Because, again, you got to shift through them. Some of them you're not going to use again. Some of them you are. Maybe you update them. How long did that process take?
2 months.
Wow,
and
that's all?
I mean, that is all. And that's why I'm saying, that's why I look like this. But it's amazing what you can do when you have a deadline. I've always said, if you have writer's block, what you do is think deadline, and that'll just cure it.
Yeah, because you have to. That's exactly right.
Exactly right.
So what advice would you give to someone who's, I know a lot of people say, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write a book, I'm going to write a book, and they never do it. What advice would you give them to get started?
To get started, think about what you want to release, what you want to tell people. You want to know if you want to make them laugh, if you want to make them cry, if you make them think, or if you just want to do a novel that you've had a funny or good story in your head and you want to get it on paper and get it out there, then do it. And it's been a real experience. I'm also doing the book in audio, and the other day I read the column that I got 100 emails on after it ran, and Sierra, I couldn't get through it. I cried because it was about my mom and how when we moved her from my childhood home, how hard that was, and it all came back. So you want to put something out there that puts you out there and makes it good reading. And I hope, I have 300 books sitting in our hallway, so I'm hoping that perhaps somebody wants these books.
Oh, I want one for sure. I can't wait to read it. And I remember that
yours
article.
Reserved.
Yeah, and I remember that article when you wrote it, and it was very, very powerful.
Thank you.
So, Bon, what actually motivates you to continue to do things? I know you are involved, and I think I counted up, you have helped over 100 different charity organizations, and maybe more than that, actually, but those are the ones I could actually verify. What makes you continue to want to do these things?
I think that the thing that I like in life most is making someone laugh and feeling like I've helped someone. And sometimes when I'm writing in the evening or I'm thinking, I wonder, did I help anybody today? Was I good to myself? I think as we get older, we realize it is important to be good to yourself and use your time wisely. But I don't know. I think that I'm just wound a little tight and I got to keep going.
I relate to that.
Yes, I bet you do. You should.
One of the things that I so admire you for so many things, but you've accomplished so many things. You've gotten awards from all sorts of organizations. But what one thing that you accomplished actually means the most to you?
I think maintaining a good relationship with my husband, a very good relationship. We have a lot of fun, and he's 8 years older than I am, so we make a lot of jokes about where we are in life. But I'm proud because I see other relationships that are not as good, and it takes time. I'm also proud of the fact that I have friends that I've had since junior high school, or actually since grade school. And you have to maintain those relationships just like you do your family, close friends. So, I've known you for how many years, and we make sure that we touch base from time to time, and we've tried to set a once a month, and this is a good idea for anybody, set at least a once a month lunch date and try very hard. My schedule and your schedule makes it tough, but we keep trying, and that's important to me.
And it is to me,
so
too.
I think I am proud of maintaining relationships.
I think that's probably the biggest thing, and that's what I so appreciate about you, is that you really do make the time for that. And I know when you were writing that book, it was harder, for sure. But I know we're doing a show for 50 plus women, so I'm really curious, what advice would you have, or what did you learn along the way that really benefited you when you got above 50?
I think that, and actually, I realized this early on in my life, and my dad was an amazing man, and he and I talked about this. It's 2 words, show up. And so many times people don't understand the importance of showing up and being there in the present, not with your phone in your hand, but being there and knowing that you are concentrating on whoever is in front of you. But show up when you say you're going to. And I think a lot of people my age use age as a reason not to show up even when they say they have. That's not a reason, unless you're in the hospital. That's a given. You can get a pass.
That's
on
a get
that.
out.
But when I've talked to college kids or young people, everybody kind of goes, yeah, I need to show up. And I do think that really makes a difference in a person's life and the lives of others.
Absolutely. Bonnie, thank you so much for taking the time to share your insight, your wisdom. I appreciate it. You always look so fashionable because you're a fashion writer, and it's just fun to see what you're going to have on every time I see you.
Well, I just thought this was all audio.
Well, if you look that good for audio, we're doing really well. Bonnie, thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be here. I appreciate it.
Before we go, I want to leave you with a fierce and feisty final thought. A lot of people complain that they just don't have time to do things. They don't have time to work out. They don't have time to spend time with their family. They don't have time to even sit down and read a book. But you'd be surprised how much time you really waste in a day. So rather than just write on a calendar 5 things I want to get done that day, I actually plan out every single hour of my day. I even plan out time for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, but I plan out time to work out, read a positive book, do things, return phone calls, do things I need to do for business. And when you do that, you'll come to realize how much time you really waste. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, or Google, well, you can also watch us on YouTube. Please leave us a positive review and share with your friends so they can benefit from this inspiring advice. And don't forget to check out our website at Fierce, Feisty, and 50 Plus. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Sierra Patricia Scott. Have a fierce and feisty day.
Thank you for listening. The views and opinions of this episode's guest and the host are not associated with nor reflect those of the University of South Florida. The podcast is produced by the Department of Journalism and Digital Communication at the University of South Florida, St. Petersburg. Executive producers are Elliot Weiser and Sierra Patricia Scott. Producer is Stephanie Broughton. Production assistant is Ariel Magus. The director is Christopher Campbell. And a special thank you to PBS Kansas. I'm Jamel Holoparik. Thank you for joining us.